When the first of our 4 children was born 15 years ago, I remember having an absolute moment of panic. What am I going to feed this beautiful baby that I'm responsible for? Through a friend, I was introduced to the cookbook, Nourishing Traditions, as I know many of you know. I began to make my own baby food and dive deep into the world of whole foods. I began to see food as a source of deep nourishment. Years later, when we lived in Alabama, I wrote my first cookbook from scratch. Long before Canva and Grammarly, I would stay up late at night while our 2 babies slept to piece together this reflection of what we were eating and learning at the time. This was my season of soaking grains and slow-braised inexpensive cuts of meat and beginning to source from local farmers. The farm and animals photographed in this book aren't ours. This was years before our dreams of having our own little farm were realized. They were my farmer, Chip's. I sourced many fresh ingredients from his gardens and began to piece together what a from-scratch life looked like for our family. That was a season of falling in love with whole ingredients and discovering seasonal eating like I never had before. Do you remember this season? A season when food for you was fun, when time in the kitchen felt like a rich gift, and a basket of freshly picked citrus made you feel absolutely rich. I do. I remember it very well. And while I'm not sure that it's possible to recreate that first-time feeling in our kitchens now, I still do miss that season when food was pure fun. Everything was new and alive. That season of my life is where I learned how to slow cook meat, the value of bones and broth. I began to see value in egg yolks and fermented foods, and I began to say goodbye to the diet craze that were normal at the time. If you don't remember them, low fat, low calorie reigned supreme. It was a time when we were supposed to seek out processed foods that made our life easier and could guarantee us a particular calorie count. Nourishing Traditions pushed back against this in a big way and presented living foods like kimchi and sourdough bread, full-fat dairy, and unprocessed foods as the ultimate. Part of what makes food and cooking fun is having pieces in your kitchen that will help you to do that well. I use a lot of Maiden's products in my own kitchen because they're absolute workhorses with no nonsense. And perhaps the piece that we use more than any other is our carbon steel griddle and press. You can check out the details of this wonderful piece and my other favorite cookware from Maiden by using the link in my description. This is professional quality product, but made for you, the home cook. Maiden partners with multi-generational factories and artisans to help bring you a curated collection of materials. They're shaped to fit your own needs in the kitchen. The griddle is free from harmful chemicals and maximizes your cooking space. It's a piece that's incredibly versatile. My kids and I use it constantly to cook eggs, toast, vegetables, steak, and more. It's so durable. You can learn more about this fabulous griddle and press duo, plus my other favorite cookware from Maiden by using the link in my description. It was a way of life in our kitchen that pushed for simple foods, well prepared to nourish our bodies. It was a book that connected in a very meaningful way the health that we were experiencing and how food aided or damaged that health. For me, especially as a new mom, it was revolutionary. But would I go back to that time? Absolutely not. Just this past year, after a stint of symptoms, we learned that our oldest daughter had a dairy intolerance. I've talked about this over on our newsletter. I'll put a link to that below. But suffice it to say, for a farming family with a dairy cow whose life was devoted to dairy, this came as a big change of plans. At first, I felt very confused. I didn't understand the difference between an intolerance, which you are born with, and an allergy, which is what you develop. It's been a season of learning for us both. Instead of labeling a food as good or bad, I'm learning that it's instead about recognizing what is the right fuel for her, or for any of us. The beautiful piece of this story is that when we pulled all dairy from her diet, and yes, I mean all dairy, her symptoms vanished almost immediately. It wasn't about taking more pills or treating symptoms, but dealing with the core of what caused them in the first place. That knowledge, paired with our food efforts in the kitchen to keep it whole foods based and very clean and nourishing, was the magic that she needed to thrive. Now, she gets to feel fantastic. I think back to the days when I gave her little butter candies, which ironically are in from scratch, as a reward for potty training, not knowing that while butter is a good and beautiful whole food that a lot of bodies thrive on, it's not a good and beautiful food for her individually. Her body thrives on many whole foods, but dairy is simply not one of them, and it never will be. As we're talking through this season with our doctor, we're learning a lot about the unique nature of each body and how these whole foods are indeed good and beneficial, and how much work they can do to benefit our bodies. Suffice it to say, all of the efforts in the kitchen are worth it. And all the time spent devoted to making these foods for my family has been worth it. But since being introduced to nourishing traditions all those years ago, I've also learned that our bodies are a bit more unique than I originally gave them credit for. George's body doesn't thrive on dairy, but instead is fed richly by vegetables, meats, grains, all kinds of wonderful foods. And given the right fuel and eliminating the fuel that doesn't fit well with her body, she's been able to finally feel and be healthy. Perhaps I spoke a bit too dogmatically about food back in the day. I was so excited about what I was discovering that I wanted to share it with the world. Nowadays, though these principles run deep in our kitchen, I am grateful to have learned about various intolerances and how they affect each of us. It's kept me creative and inspired in the kitchen, like learning to bake all kinds of wonderful goods for her with olive oil. I received a message on Instagram this week that told me we were being far too sensitive about these food intolerances, that they really aren't that big of a deal. But in our home, we've seen that to be the opposite. I've seen what the right foods and not eating particular foods, most importantly, can do for a body. I've seen what nourishing children, going to all that painstaking labor, day in and day out, can do for their health. Praise God, our children, from years of eating these foods, have thrived, especially as we learn what foods help their individual bodies to thrive best. sometimes I do long for the simpler days when there wasn't chatter about daily protein intake and ketosis, when we ate by inspiration and instinct, when we felt like we were changing the world by simply growing tomatoes, learning to make sauerkraut, or simmering broth. I suppose now, 15 years the wiser, I see the benefit of both seasons in our life. A season of absolute joy and discovery that pushes us on to learn more, of an insatiable desire to learn and explore. And then, following that, a season of refinement and routine, tailored to our specific needs. We're most certainly in the latter now, but I still find our table to be the most inspiring place to be, and the food on it to be a great source of nourishment and joy. Perhaps this is how we keep food fun all these years later. Cheers.